When you first log into Trackfront, the first place you'll be taken to is the dashboard. And what you're going to see here will be your chosen widgets that you've selected and rearranged on the dashboard to your liking here. In this particular instance, I've gone ahead and cleared off all of the widgets so I can add them one by one as part of this demonstration. So up in the upper right hand corner, you'll see the new widget drop down, and you'll simply click on this and you'll see that it's broken down into estimate widgets as well as project widgets. So let's go through adding them one by one. Let's start with the estimates section, and we'll add the viewed widget. So all this does is give us a list of all of the estimates that are currently in the viewed stage. So in other words, this is a great list of estimates to follow up with your clients on because they have been viewed by the client, but no other action has been taken on any of these particular estimates. So you can just simply click on these and it'll take you to the estimate, and you can see kind of the further details on each one. Then you can come back to the dashboard and see it here as well again. Okay. Moving on, let's look at sent but not viewed. So this is a list of estimates that have been sent to a particular client but have not been viewed. So there may be an issue where the email might have gotten spam blocked, or they have not paid attention to the email. Either way, they have not even viewed the estimate that you sent them. So this is another good reason to follow up and say, hey, just wondering if you saw the estimate I sent. Would you like me to resend it to you? And it's just a great way to follow up and keep in touch on that again. Okay. Now, any of these widgets you can drag and drop and arrange them however you would like, or delete them if you would like. So let's continue on. Let's look at revision requested. In this particular instance, I don't have any, but if a particular client responded to an estimate instead of approving it and they said, hey, I'd like a modification to this estimate, I'd like it revised, and they gave you some information, those estimates would show up in the list here as well. All right, let's look at postponed. Here are any of the estimates that have the postponed status. So in this particular instance, these are the two estimates that are in the postponed state. And this is also a good indication of maybe I should follow up and see, is it time for the project to be brought back to life? Or are they still interested? Another reason to follow up. Just a quick way to see any projects that are in the postponed stage. All right, continuing on, the last three here are graph widgets. Let's look at this first one, sales opportunity. You have a date drop down here. Okay, in this particular case, we're looking at the last 3 months of time. Then we have the dollar total of all viewed estimates over time. Okay, so what does this show us? As we mentioned here, this is the sales opportunity. So these are all of the estimates in each one of these time periods that have been viewed by a client, but no action has been taken. So what this quickly tells you is how much money, potential money, is in the pipeline hanging out there at various points in time. So you can see, for the week of July 25th, there's $123,000 in open estimates waiting to be approved. Just a quick way for you to see, hey, where do I have a lot of money hanging out there, and what is in the pipeline in the last 3 months or 12 months, 24 months. You can go back as far as you want on this thing and set the time period, but it's a great chart to show you what's going on as far as the potential for earnings. All right, moving on, let's take a look at the estimate trends widget, another great graph that shows you all kinds of useful information. All right, so let's look down here. We have a number of different statuses that we can check and uncheck. So these will actually check or uncheck the graphs that are indicated by the colors down here. So you can click on any of these to make them visible or invisible. So let's say we wanted to just take a look at all estimates versus approved estimates. And then I can pick a time period. Let's look at 12 months, for instance, the last 12 months. And let's look at it by number of estimates. Okay. So what this quickly does is show us that by each period, by each month, on January, February, March, how many were approved, how many estimates were approved out of all of the estimates that were sent and created that month. So it just kind of tells you, which months are busy or slower, which ones are doing better than others when you're closing more business. You can look at declined estimates, expired, postponed. You can add any of these graphs to the chart as you want. Alternatively, instead of just looking at the number of estimates, which just tells you the quoting activity, you can look at the dollar total of all of the estimates. So you can quickly see in the last 12 months the dollar total As you can see, the dollar total graphs versus the number of estimates changes very drastically because these are two different parameters that we're looking at here. So this tells us how many dollars were approved versus how many dollars were quoted each month. So you can take a look month by month here and see useful information that way as well. You can do the same thing with these other statuses. Anything that was not approved, which is a combination of postponed, expired, and declined, or you can look at in any one of them in particular and see the particular graph for that one as well. All right, moving on to the next one, which is close rate. This is another useful graph which you can take a look at, and again you can choose a particular period of time in here as you want. And this just tells you the percentage of approved versus all over time. So we can look at this by dollar total or by number of estimates. Similarly to what we were doing over here, we can see a similar type of scenario here where we're looking at the dollar totals, which are indicated in green. This is the percentage now. So if you look over here, in July, 81% of the dollars that were quoted were approved. Versus if you look at number of estimates, it's a different figure. So again, you can hide or show different ones of these as you would like. Look at one or both, and it gives you various information that could be very useful to your business and show the trends over time. All right, now let's take a look at some of the project widgets. So to be invoiced is a widget that right now there's none, but what this does is it tells you if there is a project that has been completed but you have not marked the estimate closed, and that's a great way for you to just quickly say, hey, this particular project now needs to be invoiced, and then when you close the estimate, it'll come off of that list. Pending. These are any projects that are in the pending stage. So in other words, an estimate has been approved, but you have not created a new project yet. If there are any that in that particular stage, you would see them here. All right, let's look at over budget. So this widget shows us any projects that are over budget. If you're tracking time and expense, whether it's time or expense, they will show up here in this list, and you'll see the progress bar that shows that these are, for instance, this one is 142% over budget, this one is 170% over budget. Quick indicator to say, hey, what's going on? We should take a look and meet with the team internally and see why are we going so far over budget. Next one is overdue. So if you have any projects that have been set to a particular due date and now we're past that, you can take a look at some of these. You can see these are 37 weeks overdue, 15 weeks overdue, 3 weeks overdue. Just depends on what you have set for your due date and what the current date is today. And the last one is no activity for 7 days. So this is a list of projects that have not had any post, reply, file upload, status change, team member change. Nothing has been done in the last 7 days to any of these projects. It's a quick way for you to find out, hey, is there a reason nothing has happened here in 7 days? Should we be reaching out? Is there a reason the project is being stalled? What's happening? So this is a quick list for all these projects. So one of the things in Trackfront is over time, we're going to be creating more and more widgets with more and more functionality. Look for additional functionality in the future and very useful information and other things that you can customize as you want throughout the entire experience with Trackfront.